What would be the best sanction for the top 12 or the 12 teams that were involved in this whole Super League?
I
Like they
mean,
already
at least
retracted themselves, at least the English Premier League teams. But what would be the best sanction for it? Like
send them to the National League.
you think just demote them, bring them down?
Demote them down to the National League and make them climb back up. So fuck.
I mean
I heard.
that
I'm gonna weigh in on it because I also heard some people try to distinguish who was responsible for pulling the clubs into that agreement in the first place. And
Me and you.
I think one of the main takeaways is the people that negotiated these things for their clubs were the owners. You know, the Glazers were in there, John W. Henry was in there, FSG Group was in there, Perez was in there.
not the owner, but yeah, you're right.
Essentially, the money men were the ones that were sitting down, saying, nodding yes, and saying, yes, I'm going to pull my club into this. And then if we take a step back, who are the people that have pushed back the most? The players, former players, coaches. We saw it with managers. We saw it with Klopp as well. And I think, well, in the beginning, I was definitely on the boat of, okay, let's demote them. Let's put them in the lowest tier, kick them out of the competitions that they're in now. I think the sanctions and penalties have to be with the owners. It has to be with them. How? The only way that I can think of is financially. So don't ask me, but I do want to make the point that the ones that brought them in, or that apparently represented their clubs and said, yes, we want into the Super League, were the owners, the people that handle all the financials
The
for their
presidents.
respective clubs, not the players or the managers. Especially now that it's coming out that a lot of them, I think there was a report that I read that apparently Arsenal, like as a club, they never even briefed their players. They never told them that they were going to participate in this in the first place. So the Daniel Levy's, the Joel Glazers, whatever you want to call them, I think those are the people that have to stand to be held accountable for making such a. I think honestly, it was a precipitated decision, man. I really do.
It's
I
funny
say
because
get Game of Thrones styles. Just put them in the middle of the Baylor and just fucking chuck rocks, bro. Like
I
fuck.
mean, I think they would take that over a penalty, like a financial penalty, because
I mean,
they all joined this
For
because of
money.
money, and
yeah.
then
I mean, you
hitting
can't.
them with a fine because of what they did. I think it's karma right there.
I think
And you
so
can't.
too.
And you can't really force them to sell because at that point you're just making the rich richer. Like
Exactly.
the fuck.
Well, that's a good start to the episode, and I'm glad we got Eddie with the gavel, the heavy gavel of justice behind him, representing a lot of today's events. But before we get into much more of the conversation, just thanking you guys for joining us on this week's episode of The Benched for our podcast on BenchWarmers FC. My name is Diego, joined by Marco, the interrupter, and Eddie, who is showing up today. Thank you, Eddie, for gracing us with your presence. A simple and general reminder to everyone who wants to catch us on our podcast. You can catch us on your favorite podcasting platforms, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, by searching Bench Warmers FC. And if you'd like to see all of our cute mugs, you can watch us on our YouTube channel, Marco, which is
BenchWarmers FC TV.
And Eddie, I know you haven't been here in a minute, but I know you do keep up with us and the group, still representing your Liverpool Reds. They can also catch us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching.
Benchwarmers FC1.
That's right, Benchwarmers FC1. You can also email us by using our email address, benched@benchwarmersfc.com. And we're going to jump right into the discussion. You know, we usually start off the episode going over the weekend's results. This
Fuck
is
the
a
weekend.
long game week. We had a game today. We're gonna have a game tomorrow. We're gonna have a game
Pretty
the day
much, man.
after.
Is it 11 days straight of EPL?
11 straight
It
days of
was
footy.
fuck the
But
weekend because I didn't even know if those games mattered. Like the fuck. I watched yesterday's game and I was like, does this even matter?
let's not even talk about yesterday, because I was livid when I saw the 1-1 final score, because that meant clean sheet points gone. Salah didn't start. I'm not even. Fantasy is a whole different problem for me right now. But the biggest problem, and not to say even the elephant in the room, because honestly, everyone's been pretty outspoken about this, and I'm pretty sure that Erik is going to help us and give us his side on what he thinks the situation should be. But guys, 3 words: the Super League.
Let's go. Let's do it. I'm kidding. No. It had its rise, and the same way it went up, it just burned down in like 3 days.
And what's crazy is that last year when they announced it, I thought it was something different. Like, I honestly thought it was gonna be a one-off thing, like a 1-year thing, where it would have been all these teams playing in a league format. But then, like, I hear this fucking nose taking over the Champions League. I'm like, oh no, y'all blowing my shit right now,
Bro. I mean, honestly, like, look, I think if we all discussed it here. To me, it felt like instead of MLS learning from Europe and doing it their way, they're like, no, let's do it the MLS way. Let's do 10 on 10. Everybody plays everybody, and then we go up and build, and then give them a final. I'm like, we all fought that to not have it that way. That the MLS should change their format. And now you're telling me that the European Super League is gonna basically mimic MLS in their format? I'm like, hell no.
I mean, you think about it, 5 out of the 6 owners for the Prem clubs that signed up were all American. They're all American owners.
I know Erik is just wants to put NFL out there. I can see Erik dying to say something about football.
Yeah, and I mean, they're lucky that like Roma didn't join too, because Roma would have been another American too. Like, the fuck.
All right, Erik, I'm glad that you're able to join us. I know you're on the road right now, but everyone's voice counts on this bench, and we want to get your voice on this episode and this recording. So let us know, where were you when the news dropped? I know the news cycle has been crazy ever since everything came out about the Super League. So tell us your initial reaction, what you thought, how you felt, where were you? And then now that basically the balloon deflated, what are your thoughts now?
Well, yeah. I mean, sorry, everybody. Sorry for coming on late, but definitely probably the most historic time in football that we're all living in right now. With the news that broke, and unfortunately fell apart, like Marco said. As quick as it went up, it quickly went down. But my first reaction was anger. I was talking to my brother about this earlier. All of us here, we're not the traditional fan. The traditional fan is the fan that goes to the stadiums and day in, week in and week out. We're actually the fan that the Super League is trying to attract.
Right.
So the fact that we're out here protesting it, that we're not in favor of it, just speaks volume to how important the Premier League is the way it is. And look, I'm not gonna sit here and act like as if the Premier League is working out fine, because we all know the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA are just as corrupt. And I think it was in '92 when the Premier League took over. What was about to happen happened to other teams in the league as well. So in a way, it's kind of karma coming back to bite the Premier League and everybody else in the ass. But my initial reaction was anger. I was pissed off. I was extremely mad that Arsenal were involved. But I'm not surprised seeing who the head of our household is, which is Kroenke, the selfish bastard. Will be fucking rots in hell. But aside from that, it's just I had the time to digest it, to look at articles, to read more about it, and from a business standpoint, this is an absolute masterclass of an idea. Like, who wouldn't want to see that? I mean, all of us here, yeah, I think we all would say we probably wouldn't watch it as much, but at the end of the day, we're going to tune in to watch the big games, and they know that. And the fact that JP Morgan is back in this shows that this has been going on behind the curtains for 10, God knows how long. Arsene Wenger called it. A bunch of people have called it. So now that it came to light that this has been going on behind the scenes, fans are not going to forget it. And they're going to ask for all these fucking assholes to resign, to get the hell out of the club. And essentially kind of go back to how it used to be. I mean, the championship format to me is the best format that exists. But is that going to happen in the Premier League? Probably not. It is what it is. It's been a roller coaster ride of emotions in the past 48 hours, 24 hours since this news dropped. I don't even know. It's been so fast that so much has happened since then. But I'm happy it's not happening. I hope that because of this shock that happened in the footballing world, all the other corruption in all the other, I guess, bodies of football, UEFA, FIFA, and Premier League, also straighten their shit up too, and get all of their the corruption out of the way. And also, as Bamford said, man, we're reacting this way for the Super League. We have to react the same way for racism. You know, it's it's full circle, man. But I'm happy it's not happening. I'm just, as an Arsenal fan, I'm looking back at this. I'm like, damn. Now I know why Kroenke wasn't investing much money in our club. He fucking knew
Interesting.
this was coming. He knew this was coming. There's no way that oh yeah, Arsenal involved as a founding member. It was him, Glazer from United, and FSG from Liverpool. They're the ringleaders to this whole shit show. And for Kroenke to not be investing in our club for so long, now I know why. Is because he knew we were guaranteed European competition because of this closed league that they were going to introduce to the world. So I'm happy it didn't go through. I hope Kroenke gets his ass out of well, he's not even in London, but hands over his shares and gets the fuck out, and we get our football back, man. It speaks volume. I think this is the only sport where you see fans actually own the game. It's not owned by corporate. It's not owned by companies. It's the fans own it. And I think what happened today with everybody pulling out was a pure example of how beautiful and passionate this sport can be. I will never see this in football. I will never see this in basketball. Even though I love basketball, I won't see it in basketball, hockey, baseball. I won't see it in any of these sports. Only in soccer will you see this. Stopping wars, stopping a multi-billion-dollar deal from happening. I mean, again, business-wise, this is a phenomenal idea. For the fans to scrap it, this is the world. This is the people's game, and I'm happy for it.
I'm glad you're happy for it. One of the things I was going to bring up to you, I was hoping that you'd be able to poke your head in for a little bit. So real quick before you go, I was able to catch all of the statements that the clubs had put out respectively in the Premier League. And one distinction that someone had picked up was that Arsenal's was the only one where they actually wrote that they apologized to the fans for the mistake they made. So how does that make you feel as an Arsenal fan? And have you reconciled with your club, or do they belong in the fifth division, like Eddie says?
I don't blame the players or the coach. I blame Kroenke. I don't blame Vinay. He's just our CEO. He's just a puppet for all this. He's not in charge. He doesn't call the shots. Kroenke calls the shots. I am happy that they apologized and that they made a mistake. They acknowledge that. That's big for somebody to do.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, when I saw Hector Bellerin put on Instagram what Arsene Wenger said his last game, hold the values to our club, that spoke volumes. And I think that Arsenal putting a statement out was also an example of, we have values and we're going to live by those values, and we're sorry we fucked up and look like clowns at the end of the day. So I'm happy that they apologized. Do they belong in the Super League? No. Do they belong in top four? No. So yeah, no. I'm happy with how everything turned out.
What's your version of a sanction? Like Eddie was saying that, you know what, let's dump them down to the fifth division of English soccer, English football, or do you see it as more of like a sanction or a fine? What do you think would be appropriate, not just for Arsenal but for the 6 Prem clubs?
Get these owners out and do what Gary Neville has said, and get a third party to oversee the league responsibly. That, I mean, yeah, you can sanction the clubs and all that, but they got money. They'll just do it. They'll do it again. You got to cut the snake by its head, and that's where all the money's at. So for me, get rid of these owners. Get a third party involved, like Gary Neville said. And I've always been an advocate. I've said it multiple times. We have to have salary caps, so there's no overinflation instead of overpaying players, which is why Barcelona, Real Madrid, Arsenal were in a situation where they were paying Ozil so much money. There has to be some regulations in place. Um, Unfortunately, that doesn't mean government getting involved, which people wouldn't be happy about. But to keep, I guess, these intruders, these snakes getting into bed, these venture capitalists getting into bed with our clubs. And I say our clubs, as if we live out there, but at the end of the day, these are our clubs. We feel passionate about this.
Right.
we have to get them out. We have to get these capitalists, these venture capitalists, out of the game. And they said it themselves. The importance of the game is secondary. It's all about revenue. One of the whoever I don't know who it was. I wish I knew who it was, but one of them said it. So to me, that was a clear fuck you to the fans, and we want our money.
All right, Erik, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your voice.
Thank you, guys.
Hoping that we could get your perspective as well. Be safe, man, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right, boys. I'm out later, man. Catch you.
All right, man.
All right, Marco. Hey, is your turn to squawk off, man.
I have nothing to say.
How'd you feel? What'd you think? Nothing to say. This guy.
Nothing to say. That's your Papa Perez right there.
Yeah,
dog.
man. I also want to bring you in on Florentino because a lot of people, especially from what I was watching on TV too, there are some people that, unfortunately, because he was the one that spoke first, are kind of targeting Florentino for being one of the major henchmen in this scheme. But something that someone said, especially on Chiringuito, that I picked up while I was watching it this afternoon, and they were saying that it was very odd for Florentino of all people, because some people that aren't honestly, not everyone there is a Madridista. They're not a Real Madrid fan, and so they believe that everyone, including Florentino Perez, has to have some dirty clothes. So they were saying it was very odd to hear him talk for and ask for specifically transparency. They said it was very odd to hear for Florentino Perez to ask for transparency in the operations of this league and of FIFA, UEFA, what they're doing. They're saying that could be a clue, or at least that makes them feel like there could be something else going on behind the scenes. But I'm just gonna drop that, and you can, I guess,
Pick it up.
peruse that in your head a little bit. But let us know how you felt when you thought, how you felt and what you thought when Arsenal were named as one of the 6 Prem clubs.
I mean, I'm not that surprised. Let's start off with Florentino Perez. I think I mentioned it earlier before we start recording. Yes, he is the face of this, but he's not the only person. He's just the one that's speaking out. That I'm aware of, that I heard, the 4 clubs that were truly involved from the beginning were Real Madrid, Man United, Liverpool, and Juventus.
Mhm.
They were the first people that started this up. And then they chose, and Florentino Perez even said it in Chiringuito. They said it wasn't hard to get Laporte to join because they offer the money, and Barcelona right now financially are in crisis.
Sure.
So they're like, yeah, I mean, whatever gives us money, we're down. And I think a lot of these teams were exactly on the same boat. They said yes because it was easy money. But they weren't expecting that UEFA and FIFA and La Liga and EPL and all these other teams, leagues, were gonna come back and say that they were gonna sanction them, and say that if they did go on with this, that their players will most likely not be able to be playing for their countries when the World Cup come, or any other European competition. So that's when the tables turn. Florentino has not come out and said anything, and everybody else that was involved just hid. And now the clubs have to come out and say, look, like Arsenal said, look, we apologize, we made a mistake. It is what it is. I mean, again, I'm expecting Florentino to come out and say something. Will he? I don't know, man. I really don't know. Again, when he was on Chiringuito explaining this whole thing, it kind of seemed like everybody that was there kind of was interested in this happening. Now, that was yesterday. Today's a different story. Today it sounded like half of them were not, half of them were. Half of them were interested in the money, half of them weren't, half of them were interested in the Liga making money. And there was a big confrontation in the sense that everybody was giving out their opinion at the same time. It just sounded like it was a screaming match. So, I mean, at the end of the day, as of right now, only 6 teams are still in the Superliga.
The 3 from Spain.
The 3 from La Liga and the 3 from Serie A. Even though reports have been said that Barcelona and Atletico are almost likely going to withdraw as well, they still haven't officially said that they were out. Not like the English Premier League teams have. So what's next? Nothing's going to happen. You lost half your squad already, half the teams that are going to be involved. You're not going to find anybody else that will join you. Bayern Munich already said no. Dortmund already said no. PSG already said no. Even though reports said that PSG wasn't even asked, they already said no. So they have to eliminate the competition. And I mean, I would be surprised if Florentino Perez is the scapegoat. But I don't even think that's gonna happen. I mean, what is he gonna the only thing that I can see him doing is to appease the at least the Madridista fans is buy him a new toy. It sucks. I'm a Madridista. I hate saying it, but I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
Maybe. And Eddie, I want to hear what you think on this. I want to read two of the quotes because, like Marco was saying, one of the downfalls, one of the biggest mistakes was a lot of the chairman and co-chairman that were part of this new Super League felt that Florentino Perez spoke out of pocket because he was the only one that went on this Spanish TV show Chiringuito to give this exclusive interview, and there was a lot of things that he said there that just were to some people, of course, out of context, even if they were in context. So two quotes I have here. He says, "Everything I do is for the good of football. We created this Super League to save football." He also said, "We have to think about why 16 to 24-year-olds are no longer interested in football. If young people don't watch an entire game, it's because it isn't interesting enough or because we have to shorten the games." And that followed his proposal to make football matches shorter than the traditional and always known 90 minutes. Eddie, what do you think about that?
I think it's bullshit. Like, I mean, if people are losing interest in the game, is because I have to pay CBS, I have to pay Peacock, I have to pay B ESPN. It's like, where's the 16-year-old gonna get all this money from? On top of that, where's he gonna get a debit card? Like, if they're losing interest because it's not accessible anymore. Like, we can't go home and turn on the TV and watch a game anymore.
That's a great point. Marco, what do you think?
I mean, look, at the end of the day, Florentino Perez, he doesn't like sports. I don't think he even watched soccer before he walked into Real Madrid. He's a businessman. He's a millionaire. He did his money comes from construction. I believe that's what he's done. That's what he owns because he owns, I think, a company. I believe he does a construction company.
Yeah, construction.
Well, maybe. And then he came and they gave him the presidency of Real Madrid, which he's treating it as a business, and he treated it for a very long time as a business, bringing in the Galacticos because that's the first thing he did. And it worked. And then so he's like, okay, work for Real Madrid. Why don't we treat the rest of the things that I don't care about as a business as well? Maybe that's the way that I might be more interested in it. Who would think in the right mind that changing the sport now, that for hundreds of years it's been 45 minutes each half, what is he going to propose? Do it 30 minutes each quarter, each half, and then do have quarters as well, like
Oh
it's
my
basketball?
God. Each
And then
quarter, if Erik
13
heard that, he
minutes.
lose his mind.
I know. I mean, he would laugh, and then he said, Erik Damas would say, "I told you so," and it's true.
Damas.
I mean, I'm guessing that's what he was going with it.
Maybe, and
Maybe.
we
Could
couldn't
be.
really hear the full proposal because a lot of people thought or felt that he was just trying to highlight so many different things in that interview that he gave that it just, if you watched, I saw the majority of it. I can't claim that I saw the entire thing, but I saw the majority of it, and you can tell that in his mind he was seeing like the bigger picture, but he was just trying so hard to just hit everything to try to get people onto the cause of accepting the idea of a super league, that it just came off, I guess, in the wrong manner. Moving on though, one of the things I did want to bring up is, like I had mentioned to Erik, the 6 Prem clubs have now officially either posted, stated, or put up a statement of some kind through their official club Twitters or other platforms, their websites as well. So the Arsenal one, again, one of the highlights is that they were the only ones to use that language, that they apologized for it. Everyone else has, for just to put it, to summarize it easily, has basically said that they have started a formal procedure to withdraw, kind of confirming for their fans that they will not be part of the Super League. So just going through these, Spurs Chairman Daniel Levy said, "We regret the anxiety and upset caused by the ESL proposal. We believe that we should never stand still and that the port should constantly review competitions. We'd like to thank all those supporters who presented their considered opinions. United doing the same. We remain committed to working with others across the football community. We have listened carefully to the reaction from our fans, the UK government, and other key stakeholders." Liverpool has also said, "In recent days, the club has received representations from various key stakeholders, both internally and externally, and we would like to thank them for their valuable contributions, saying that they can confirm that their involvement in proposed plans to form a European Super League have been discontinued." Man City also posting there, saying that they enacted the procedures to withdraw from the group, and Chelsea as well, saying that they are confirming that they have begun the formal procedures to withdraw from the group as well, that we're developing plans for the Euro Super League. Guys, I think one of the things that if you want to try to play both sides, I guess, to see it from that angle, I've heard very consistently, I guess, from the few people who thought that this was a good idea, that the revenue increased for these top clubs was going to benefit their respective leagues because it was going to trickle down to the lower placed teams. To me personally, that's not something that I would buy, but Eddie, if you heard something like that was essentially the argument made. If Real Madrid and Barcelona go and they negotiate 500 million for a new sponsor broadcast deal, then they in turn have more money. And then this person was saying that, okay, that means that they could go ahead and turn around and look at the lower position clubs in their league and buy their players for more money. Is that something that seems to make sense for you?
Not really. Like, they're doing their own version of trickle down theory, and I just don't think it's going to be executed correctly.
They were saying someone who was saying that, oh, you can now benefit because teams like Malaga and Real Betis are going to be able to count on teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid to be able to share the gains that they have from this Euro Super League. Marco, is that something that you think that could be trusted?
No, because we don't only buy within the league. Most of
Right.
the players are coming from outside. So
Right.
that's just a smoke show that they're sending out there saying, "Hey, this is the money that you might get," but in reality, they're offering or they're telling you might get 50, but in reality they might only get 5, because the other 45 is most likely going to be spent out somewhere else for a young player.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it was just a smoke screen. They're like, "Hey, this is for you guys." It's not really happening. That's not reality.
So RIP Super League. It's honestly, I'm like how Erik was saying, he's like, what's it been, 24, 48? It's been a full 2 days, and it just feels like one extra long day since yesterday that everything was being announced. So I don't want to delve away too much from the conversation with the Super League. We did have some results in the Premier League. Some didn't go the way that I had expected, especially fantasy-wise, because that hurt. But one of the biggest points that people were making, especially on social media, where they were pointing out how several of the clubs which were forming the Super League didn't have positive results this weekend. So you have Spurs tying 2-2, Arsenal tying 1-1, Juventus losing to Atalanta 1-0, Getafe tying Real Madrid 0-0, Leeds and Liverpool 1-1, Chelsea and Brighton today posting a 0-0 draw. And people are saying these are the guys that want to form this ultra dominant Super League, saying that they're better than everyone else. What does that make you guys feel, especially seeing that on the cusp of an announcement of such a great and grandiose league, the clubs can't back it up with their performances? What do you think, Eddie?
Even Juve lost. Like, it's crazy. No, man, I don't know. It was I can't even speak. Like, it just angered me. Like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, why? I mean, it wasn't well executed. It should have been, should have told us from like years ago that it was leading up to this and made it like an easier transition. But no, they just sprung it up and be like, nope, Champions League is canceled for you guys next year. We're doing this.
I mean, it kind of like it kind of felt like it's a joke, in the sense that yes, these teams have history, except for Man City and Chelsea. Actually, a lot of them. But 3 out of the 12 that were going in have never won Champions League.
Right.
Right.
Arsenal's one, Man City is another, and
Spurs.
Atletico Spurs. There you go, 4 of them have never won Champions League. So how are they considered the best? They have more money, maybe,
Right.
because even history-wise, Man City 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago, they were in the 3rd division, I believe. So they're not basing it on history. They're basing it on who has more money.
Who has more money financially. So Eddie, I do want to elaborate a little bit because I wanted to save your reaction for last, instead of just going one at a time, because can you share with us how you felt, what you thought seeing Liverpool involved, but also most importantly, because two of the main protagonists, I feel, and I see it this way, two of the main protagonists that were basically the most outspoken ones and the ones that are usually highlighted the most on TV and on social media, which are Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, for some reason decided to form some sort of super duo, and the alternate reality just like sprung up where they were finally in agreement with something. So you had Jamie Carragher speak very, very strongly against this, essentially just bashing his club for even considering something like this. And then you also have the merit of your own players. Henderson, which had the reports were out that he called a club captain meeting. Jurgen Klopp also coming out and speaking his mind. So can you touch a little bit on all of that, telling us how you experienced the announcement of the Super League?
Well, with the whole Gary Neville and Carragher, I was telling Carragher this. I took it with a grain of salt because Carragher gets paid by Champions League and by BT Sport and by Sky Sports. So it's just like he's just protecting his own pocket. And the same thing with Gary Neville.
Right.
But yeah, I've never been in FSG out, but I'm FSG out now. Like they put Klopp in the front lines taking grenades. They didn't come out and say anything. They let him take all the brunt of like everything, and it just angered me. It was like you guys didn't back the coach. You threw him out there with nothing, and it was just frustrating. And yeah, I'm glad that Henderson called the meeting supposedly, or I don't even know if that was confirmed or anything. Yeah, Milner coming out and said it. I mean, like it was just so stupid. Like it just angers me, bro.
I can tell because it's almost like you're searching for the right words to describe I guess exactly how angry you felt. But
Yeah.
I do feel you on taking like their comments with a grain of salt too, because again, most people would also be, it would be common sense that they would look out for their best self interests. But having them, I think for me personally, having Neville and Carragher be like the two most outspoken beacons against this whole proposed plan kind of made it a bit easier to organize everything else like under that. Everyone else
Definitely.
started speaking out with that. We were sending that amongst each other in our chats, and just like reacting to it and commenting on it. Some of the other players, I mirror the same sentiment you have with throwing the coaches under the bus. Sir Alex came out and said something similar, that he felt that the board went and threw Ollie under the bus for having him face the media when many of these clubs hadn't even briefed their own players and coaches about their plans to join this league. I think maybe what you mentioned, and I did put a pin on that mentally. Maybe if they had announced a transition into this league, let's say 5 years ago, to kind of like build into it, possibly that could have helped the public perception of it. I think an overnight announcement of a new competition it just sounds like a,
Yeah, it
if
was
if
just
we look at it, it sounds
bad.
like like it just sounds like a money scheme. It really just comes
Yeah,
off
like
as a straight money scheme, which again, to Eric's point, it was definitely a masterclass financially, because a lot of the details for those people who still aren't aware or who are still confused about how the Super League was supposed to work, these 15 founding clubs were going to negotiate their own competition. They would each put in a bit of money, and then JP Morgan was revealed to be the entity that was going to bankroll the entire competition, pledging over $5 billion to be distributed amongst the founding clubs. So since it was 15 clubs, they needed a few more to make it even, and that's why they had proposed a plan to have 5 additional clubs qualify to the competition, although they would not be able to participate in the distribution of the investment that was initially
yeah.
planned. The other thing that a lot of these clubs gain to benefit as well, because to be transparent with all the details, since they would cut out the middleman of having FIFA or UEFA organize the competition, they would then be able to negotiate their own sponsorship deals and endorsement deals, including broadcasting their own games on their own streaming platforms. And I think that just would have made things, it would have exacerbated everything to make it worse, because like Eddie said, if Florentino's saying that all of these young kids aren't interested in football, it might very well be that they just can't afford it because there's so many paywalls over catching
Yeah, definitely.
all of these matches, and you have most channels now have their own streaming service, and
Yeah.
where before getting so and so plus or so and so watch or go or whatever it be, or now or whatever streaming platform, you had a handful. Now there's just too many, and then you end up spending the same amount on cable that you are on streaming. So it would
As you
have.
say that, like the thought came in my head. I'm like, all right, so like if you guys want to watch like Chelsea versus Liverpool, you have to come to my house. But if United play against Madrid, we have to go to Marco's house or your house. And it's like because they're all gonna be streaming on their own platforms, and they're
Yes,
gonna be
and
like,
who's gonna pay for the other games? Exactly.
yeah, exactly. We have to figure out who's paying for which one. Like it's just insane. Like it's just oh my god, it's just fucking insane.
Yeah. So again, possibly the revenue, possibly the profits generated would have been big. But again, for football, I am also sharing the same sentiment that football is for the fans. We may not be the local, original, traditional fans.
Yeah.
But again, if this were to have been enacted with the clubs that we support locally, I think that we would feel the same way. No one, my take is no one's going to be paying $3K to go watch a game in Shanghai. And even though there
No,
may
hell
be
no.
fans of those clubs in Shanghai, the most likely scenario is that they wouldn't be able to freaking afford it either.
Yeah, like
Because
it took me 15 years to get my ass all the way to England to watch a game because it's so expensive for us over here. And
imagine
now you're gonna tell me I gotta fly to Australia or
to Dubai.
Shanghai, Dubai. I'm like, oh,
So hey, as of right now, Super League is dead. I'm gonna pour one out for Super League later. Rip Super League, you know what I mean? And
RIP.
I think the next topic, guys, because I know Super League has been dominating the airwaves. Jose Mourinho. Mourinho out. Mourinho
It was like a
sacked.
blip. It was like a blip. There's two blips actually.
Perfect
Two
timing.
blips and then the big one that's behind me. But so apparently Kun Agüero is going to Barcelona. That came out over the weekend. And then yeah, the whole Jose Mourinho.
Wow, so you don't believe me when
It's
I
a
tell you
blip.
that Alaba is going to Real Madrid because he already has a verbal agreement, and that Mbappe is buying houses in Madrid. But are you already no and okay with Aguero just going to Barcelona? That's
Aguero
crazy.
told him in the WhatsApp chat. What do you mean?
Just like just like you're saying that Mbappe is looking for a house over there. Aguero's family is already in Barcelona.
Oh boy.
So that's one, and the other one
Yeah.
Was Jose Mourinho. So I want to talk about Mourinho. So their cup final is next week, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a very rushed decision to get rid of him before a cup final. I mean, you brought him in. I want to say my piece. You brought this guy in to
Did they
win
even
you
announce
trophies.
like why though? Like,
You brought him in
officially?
to win you trophies, and you're less than a week away from your first one in so long, and you sack him. You might as well have not had him there at all because you're in the same position in the league than when you hired him. So it doesn't make any sense. Marco, Eddie, I don't know which wants to take it first. How'd you guys react to Mourinho getting sacked in the early hours of yesterday morning?
go for it.
I
Eddie.
couldn't believe it. Like it came on my phone. I'm like, no, because you woke up at the crack of dawn.
I was up. Yeah, I was up.
And like I was on my way to work, and I look. I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? And I was just like, yo, what the hell's going on? And then people start talking about the Super League. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Like, what's it called? Mourinho's an old school manager. Like, this would piss him off. And then people saying there wasn't that. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, you brought him in to win trophies. He's about to win you a trophy, and you sack him.
Marco?
I mean, I believe I posted it. I said it on one of the posts that you made, Diego, and I think it's a perfect excuse. It was a perfect excuse to get rid of him. The quote version that is hitting out there is that he, like Eddie said, that he didn't like what was going on, and he refused to train the players, and he got sacked. I don't think that's true. I think that they just got tired of what's going on. They brought him in for a reason, and he has given him no results. Yes, they had a very, very brief stint that they were doing phenomenal. But as everything that Mourinho touches, starts very well and ends up very badly. Um,
But it never even started well.
when I say it started well, I mean,
Well,
at least for this
Spurs.
season, like you saw how Son and Kane were doing, and they're assisting and goals and 4 and 5, and now either one of them can score two. I mean, in my eyes, it was just the perfect timing to just say, let's get rid of him now, and we'll just say that I don't know, we'll allow the media to make something up, and that's what it was done. Now it also came back and said that Mourinho was in the training ground today. So, but I think I only saw one report saying that, so nobody has actually confirmed if he was there or not. So as of right now, I think Mourinho is sacked, but
I think it was a mistake. Like they're not gonna get a better manager to come in to Spurs.
not right now. The only one available right now, who is it? Allegri?
Right? But he don't speak English.
I mean, we got Emery. He barely spoke English.
So I wanted to fact check myself after having said that. So Mourinho was hired in November 2019. Week 13 of the Premier League table, which was posted on November 25th, 2019, Tottenham Hotspur were sitting in 10th place on 17 points. Right now, currently, after having sacked Jose Mourinho, Tottenham are sitting in 7th place, having played 32 matches on 50 points. So they are marginally in a better place, but for what they hired him for, not even close. Because again, I remember one of the biggest banter, I guess, points that we were trying to throw on Spurs was you guys remember the video of Jose Mourinho celebrating and embracing all of his technical staff at the end of the last game last season because they had qualified for Europa League. And they were taking that as like a big celebration, like a big achievement. And it shows that I guess he was right that it was a big achievement because now they're 7th place. It doesn't look like they're any closer to getting within touching distance of the top 4. They're 5 points off, which isn't the biggest gap. But again, Marco, I think, damn, did they know that Super League was going to be announced and they thought this is the best timing
they knew
to get
because
rid of this guy?
I mean, they knew because they were part of it. They were involved, right. So they had to know.
So you think it was purposefully planned by Daniel Levy to be like, you know what? I'm gonna sack this fool the day of.
I mean, karma's a bitch, bro. They already knew that they were gonna bring Mourinho in before they sacked Pochettino. It took them 24 hours to replace him. So karma came and said, you know what? You did it to him. We're gonna do it to you. But the problem is, you don't have anybody to replace him right now.
No, they don't.
It bit them twice in the ass.
They don't. You're right. Right now they have.
They fired his. They fired his staff too.
Interim manager, and yes, Eddie, you're right. They fired the whole Mourinho left. His whole backroom staff left. Everyone was out. What's next for Spurs, guys?
They maybe stay in the same spot, lose a spot, but they won't make it to European competition.
No Europa. Eddie, what do you think?
I think they're just gonna end up in oblivion.
They get demoted this season. They do so badly. They have 7 games, and then who's in 18th place? Spurs. Who's in 18th place? They're the ones that are gonna be bumped up.
Jesus. So right
now, they're spots to Fulham right now. That's what's gonna happen.
Spurs doesn't have the best record. They've only won once in their last 5 matches. That was a 2-0 win away to Villa. They posted losses against Arsenal. Lost against United. They tied to Newcastle, tied to Everton. And in their last, I believe there's only 6 matches left to the season. Let me check. Yes. Last 6 matches, they play Southampton, Sheffield, Leeds, Wolves, Villa, and Leicester. So on paper, it looks like it's possible for them to get some points, but I think they might as well miss out. And let me get your predictions, guys. EFL Cup. Do Spurs get the trophy or do City take it?
City.
City? Now, City didn't look too great in that semifinal with Chelsea. Let me just
Me-
point
I
that
mean, they were
out.
playing against
Me-
7 defenders, so what do you want to do?
And Kevin De Bruyne is out with a lengthy. It looks like he's going to be out with a lengthy injury. Although not having De Bruyne in the squad hasn't been a deterrent for City this season. So you guys both think City's going to take it?
The City's just too stacked. I mean, if they have the eye on Champions League, then maybe. But
That's another thing too. What if they're prioritizing for Champions League and they were planning to throw on a dead team for this EFL Cup final?
with that team, they have like 3 starting 11s.
Dead team, you know what I mean?
I mean,
Okay, what they gonna do? Take out Sterling and put in Mahrez? Like,
yeah, I know.
the fuck? Like,
That's their version of a dead team. I
that's
know.
a dead team.
I mean, Gundogan could always show up, but I mean, I mean, again, I don't want Spurs to win anything ever, but how funny would it be that they brought in Mourinho to win them trophies? They sack him, and they actually win their one right after he gets sacked.
Poetic justice? I don't know,
mean,
man.
He'll say it was because of him.
It looks like it.
I mean, like I said, I don't want them to win anything, but I mean, that would be funny.
They're gonna lose just so Mourinho can say the next day, be like, "Hey, you should have just kept me."
Yeah, I would have won you that game. If they lost to 7 defenders, I would have put 8 on the field.
I want to just bring up really quickly. I think he had posted something on his Instagram. You know, Jose Mourinho is an Instagram masterclass. So I'm let's see.
While you're looking for that, Bleacher Report, I believe, posted one on like every team that he's been, what he's won, and it's so funny to see like he's won like 6 trophies here, 6 trophies there, 4, 5, 2, and then you get to Spurs and he walks away with 0, and that's like one of the most funniest posts I've seen.
Who said?
So yeah, April 9th, his last post on the training grounds, a short little video. Then the morning of, it seems, of his sacking, saying that he gets no privacy, you know, recording the people recording him. And then very cryptically, he put up a photo 12 hours ago where he says 20 de abril, the 20th of April in 2011, with a trophy and intrigued thinking face. That's of him getting thrown up by, it looks like, the Real Madrid white. So
No way. No, there's no way.
So I don't know, man.
He'll never go back to Real Madrid. I mean,
It
Florentino
is in
would
that
be that
photo.
asshole. I mean, Florentino
So-
Perez would be that guy. It's like, hey, you guys,
I
I
mean-
almost screwed you guys
I
over
mean,
with
now-
the Super League. Now I brought you
now-
Mourinho back.
Yeah, now that you said that, they'll bring in Mourinho, so they hate Mourinho, and then look like, and then forget about him. So that makes sense.
When I said present, I meant Mbappe, not Mourinho. He's like, here, y'all hate him now.
Yeah, hate him.
It could be. It could be. And to wrap up this Mourinho talk, where you guys think he's going to end up? He said, and he said, I believe he said that publicly as well, that he's going to be back very shortly. He doesn't anticipate having time off like he did after the United job, where he took a nice lengthy sabbatical. So do you guys think he's coming back in the English league? Is he going somewhere abroad, going back to Porto?
He
What do you
has to
think?
go back to his roots,
Inter-
man.
Inter's in a good spot right now, so it wouldn't be Inter.
I mean, it has to be Italy or
he
it has
already
to
said-
be
He
Portugal.
already said he's not going to Bundesliga, so it wouldn't be over there.
Portuguese national team?
Maybe, actually, yeah.
Maybe another Portuguese team or go
Euros,
back to Italy.
Euros are coming up too.
Years are coming up. All right. Well, Mourinho, we wish you the best. Obviously, you didn't do the best at Spurs. It might have been, same coach, different players at the end of the day. But to end this episode, like Eddie had mentioned in his background, he has the gavel. We had a monumental decision, a monumental verdict handed down today in the trial of the former ex-cop right now, now convicted murderer, Derek Chauvin, for the murder of George Floyd. Some very, very welcome news, and it was
Just to cap off the day.
yeah, it was hard to keep up with the news cycle with all of this going
So
on
much.
and seeing what this person said, what this pundit said, what this player said, and then I had also my TV on going on at the same time, and I was streaming it. Then at one point, but they found Derek Chauvin guilty on all 3 charges, and I don't know if you guys have something to add to a short thing to add. I would just like to say that it feels like Eddie had said it felt like a good way to cap off the day, because at the end of it all, it
Perfect timing to freeze.
definitely
Perfect timing to
marginalized
freeze.
community that they were able to receive that bit of justice, that bit of accountability for their loved one who was murdered.
It was a great way to cap off. The work is not done. We still need to get the people involved with the Breonna Taylor shit situated. So work's not done. Got to keep going.
It's just one step closer to what we need, which is better reform, better uh, community involvement, better everything for not only blacks but Hispanics, Asians, and everybody else. And no pun intended, but it did feel like you can breathe a little bit easier today,
Right.
because of this. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop, or we
Sure.
should stop. I think everybody should continue speaking out and saying no to police. What's the word? Negligence,
Mhm.
overpowering, whatever you want to call it, and a police adjustment. They should do something within policing that that it's not only 6 months of training and then you're out on the field. I think it should be a lot longer
A lot
and a lot
longer.
more
But
training and a lot more, even if possible, social training too.
mhm. It understates, like you said, Marco. I agree. This is a perfect opportunity to introduce reform, to introduce changes in the best way possible, in the best interests of the rest of the public and of society. There's too many more names that we can mention and that we can bring up for people that do deserve the same kind of justice, that do deserve the accountability for their loved ones. But on a silly note, R.I.P. Super League. It's over. You lasted
Over.
48 hours. See you never.
The
And
rise.
in a serious note, rest in power, George Floyd, and feeling good, for their
Feeling good,
family,
feeling good.
the entire community that was affected by it. And we sign off with that. We thank you all for joining on this episode, getting to the end. We appreciate all of your support. Again, we invite you all the time to participate on our social media, like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube, join the bench, share your voice with us. We want to hear you always, and we want to give you a platform in order for you to be heard. My name's Diego, joined on this episode with Marco and Eddie. Thank you guys for hopping on. And just a reminder for everyone, we are the BenchWarmers. This is the bench with a voice, where the bench is always warm. Peace, everybody.